Welcome back to A View from the Chair. I am your host, Patrice Jordan Robinson, Chair of the Memphis City Council and City Council District 3 representative. My goal with this program is to allow all citizens access to the latest information from your city leaders. So today I've invited Leah Roemer-Oakley. She's a program manager for Neighborhood Crime Prevention Grant with the Division of Police Services as our guest on A View from the Chair. And she will be talking to us today about many neighborhood opportunities, even in this COVID-19 pandemic climate. Welcome to A View from the Chair.
Hello, Councilwoman. How are you?
I am great. I'm so glad to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. It has been a challenging 3 months, and I'm sure it's been challenging for you as well.
Yeah,
So,
been different.
yeah, I know. So, Leah, share with our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself. Is Miss Memphis your hometown, and how long you've been in your current capacity?
Okay, well, Memphis is definitely my hometown. I was born and raised here, and me and my three sisters, we grew up in a small community. Well, it's not that small. In Memphis, you're probably familiar with it, called Fraser.
Hmm.
And our father still lives that way, and we take pride in our neighborhood. And I've been in this capacity, in this role with the grant program since about 2015.
Oh,
So,
so talk to us a little bit about that history. What changes have been made since 2015?
oh, there have been lots of changes since 2015. When I first started with the program, there was a very, very long and tedious application process. And so I felt like it needed to be reevaluated and making it a little bit more approachable for citizens. And so we were able to take, it was about 36 pages to 40 pages application and condense it down as a start for the citizens. And so we wanted to also make our grant office more accessible to citizens. And so we created a citizen workstation where if you are having access to internet issues or you need that extra help to go over your application, you can set up an appointment with our office and have your own little workstation to start working on your application process. And also, as questions come up as you're going through your application,
Mhm.
there is someone from our office there with you that can address them right there with you. Those are two major changes that we have had. Of course, the third major change is that we went from parks and neighborhoods to the police department with our program. And so that change was around 2016 ish. And so we've been under the Division of Police Services Real Time Crime Center since around that time. So those have been three major changes. Um, so it's been interesting.
Okay. So share with us, how long has this program been around? Since you started in 2015 and you said you came in and made some changes. So actually, how long have we had a neighborhood grant program?
Yes, the ordinance was actually passed, I think, around 2013 by
Okay.
the Memphis City Council. And so that ordinance went into effect in 2013. And I believe the first set round of awards was around 2014 into 15.
Okay. Share
Yeah.
with our citizens where the dollars come from for the neighborhood grant program.
Yes, the dollars come from an ordinance passed by the Memphis City Council called Ordinance 5493, which is a red light camera ordinance, which says that a portion of this ordinance funds from the red light camera traffic lights will be allocated to neighborhoods to be able to use for crime prevention projects in their neighborhoods and communities.
So, can you share with us today what those projects look like? What people can do because they when they call me, they're always, how do we get that money for a blue light camera? And can we use it for a computer? We don't have one, or we need a
Mhm.
printer. So, share with us what they can use those dollars for.
Actually, some of the things that you just mentioned are very frequently done as grant projects. So, if someone calls you and says, "Hey, we need a computer for our association or a neighborhood watch group so that we can be able to start a newsletter that's kind of a grassroots, old school turn on a newsletter, but we don't have a computer to start that," I would suggest that they apply for a grant and see if the grant review committee agrees that that's a good crime prevention project. And so they would make that decision. So newsletters are good ones. And of course, cameras are always a good deterrent. Of course, these groups do small camera projects all the way up to asking for funds to support larger projects such as Blue Crush cameras. And so, for example, if you wanted to do a Ring doorbell camera project or any sort of vendor doorbell project in your community, and you wanted to have them staggered through the block of your community and on the corner houses, and kind of have them watching the neighbors across the street, and then they're watching the other neighbors across the street, and that's something that everyone in your neighborhood has agreed to do, and you've decided that this is a great idea, you may want to apply for our grant, because we've had a lot of groups that have done doorbell camera projects that have been successful. And if you're thinking about, hey, we need a Blue Crush camera as a added deterrent, we can put up to $2,500 towards the total cost of a Blue Crush camera. And I know, Councilwoman, you're very familiar with the cost of these cameras,
Yes.
and they're very, very pricey. And within the past year and a half, there has been a change in the fee for data packages for the Blue Crush cameras.
Hmm.
That has added an extra $2,400 in fees on top of that. And so we encourage you,
Wow.
yes, if you're interested in going that route, please contact our office and we can share some information with you on frequently asked questions and connect you directly with a vendor. And so they can answer more detailed questions about their specific vendor for Blue Crush cameras.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. So, y- everyone knows that we have been challenged by COVID-19 pandemic. Did that present, or this current climate present, additional changes or challenges to your grantees?
Well, I would say it presented challenges to the previous grantees that just awarded funds in January 2020,
Hmm.
and the ones that received funds last year that are wrapping up their projects in June of this year. And
Okay.
so they have had to adjust their timeline, some of the projects, because they had a lot of spring cleanups that they were going to utilize their volunteer hours for this year. And of course, neighbors were not, they were social distancing and not wanting to have contact with others. Some groups decided to move forward with their cleanups and just stay at a social distance. And so it really was on a case by case scenario as far as challenges go. For our office, we basically were working from a non traditional workspace for about 8 weeks. And then we came back in as a staggered schedule, where one person is in the office on Monday, then the next person is on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and so on. And so our office has pushed through the pandemic to offer our services to keep the grant going, because we had a May 15th deadline. And unfortunately, the pandemic happened right in the middle of
Hmm.
all of this. And some of these neighborhoods spent hours and weeks and so much time to get to where they were about to apply. And we did a survey and we wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing and talking to neighbors and trying to see were they moving forward. And they were like, well, the crime hasn't stopped, so we are moving forward. And so we made sure to, instead of having citizen workstation appointments, we were having conference calls and appointments over the phone to make sure that these applications were getting completed. And we're actually in the middle of our 15th round of grants at the final process for awards. And so the applications have been reviewed and scored, and they have been sent to our executive administrative staff for the police department to give the final approval. And that's where that process is right now.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that the listening audience or even our viewers have an understanding that this program is actually sponsored and funded by, in addition to those dollars from the, was it red light cameras?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The police department. Am I correct? The police department is sponsoring your program.
Yes, our program, Memphis Area Neighborhood Watch, is housed under the Police Services Division.
Okay. So that's how
Yes.
we're giving back to the community. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes,
Okay.
that is true.
So before I have some other questions that I want you to share with our listening audience, how well do you work with the police department as it relates to our neighborhood watch programs? Do you do anything with them, share
Mm-hmm.
information, make presentations?
Yes. Before the pandemic, most of our workshops were inside of a precinct. And so we would connect with the local precinct commander and the local neighborhood watch coordinator and host a how to apply for the neighborhood crime prevention grant workshop at their precinct. And as part of one of the steps to be able to apply, if you're a neighborhood watch group, you would need to connect with your local precinct neighborhood watch coordinator. And so each precinct has a specialized person that works with neighborhood watch groups, and they meet monthly and speak with them about how to start a neighborhood watch group. If you're in a long-standing neighborhood watch group that you want to revamp, you can contact your local precinct and ask to speak to neighborhood watch coordinator as well, even if you've decided that you don't want to apply for the grant. If you're thinking about revamping your neighborhood watch group, I would highly suggest that you contact your local precinct. And
Okay.
so we work very closely with them. We get a lot of tips through our social media page and through our emails of certain things that are going on in the neighborhoods and they don't want to call the police. And so we forward those tips and information down to the person that might be able to handle it. And we work pretty closely with them. Recently, there was a pretty interesting situation to happen in the Appling Farms area. And we had some nosy neighbors and they were, not having it. They were watching everyone's at home and they were watching what was going on. And this guy kept driving by and, scoping out the area. Of course, everyone's on their social media page warning everybody about this certain vehicle, the description of it and what they were doing. And through this neighborhood watch group, the police department was able to successfully arrest this guy he came and he put the truck like on bricks and took the rims and the tires off of the truck. And the truck was in the front. It was in broad daylight. And he didn't really think anyone was watching, but they were. And
Okay.
so good job, Appling Farms, Neighborhood Watch Group, and Precinct Commander.
Okay, thank you. Now that we've talked about this, can you share with our viewers today what is the application process and uh, how do we get to that award process? Just walk us through the whole process.
Yes. So you're going to want to take a how to apply workshop, and that's going to look different in the future. We're working to develop one that's more accessible because of COVID-19. And we're working towards our next grant deadline of being in November of this year. We're still pushing forward for that. And so you want to know how to apply to get some sort of knowledge on how to apply through our office. You want to make sure to connect with your local precinct to make sure
Mhm.
that your neighborhood watch group is registered through that precinct and that you're connected with possibly other neighborhood watch groups there that are active. And you want to make sure to turn in your completed application by the deadline, which will be probably sometime in November. And then after the applications are received, we have a grant review committee, which is comprised of a community leader, a crime prevention officer, and usually another business leader that is familiar with crime prevention in the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And so they review those applications, and things they're looking for are need for project, operational feasibility, and that sort of thing. You can get a score of 100 points, and
Mm-hmm.
they go through each application. And for this round, we were able to scan all the applications and send them out digitally. And we still met through telecommunications and kept that process going, which, everyone thinks that doing everything remotely is easier, but it's not.
It's not.
Um,
So do you have training classes online?
We are working on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For this past grant cycle, we did webinars, which were pretty successful, but we're looking towards maybe doing something on YouTube where it's a video process of how to apply. You can, rewind it if you missed something, and you comment if you have attended it, to show proof that you have attended it. And that way, you can always reference it over and over again. And so we're thinking about leaning towards doing that. The Community Lift Foundation, the Community Lift Fund through the Community Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
ended up doing a process through YouTube. And we feel like that might work for our office in the future as well, to be able to reach more people.
Well,
So
I'm sure that the staff at our Kazukian Network would be more than happy to assist you so that we can get some training out there on Facebook Live and other platforms as
I would love
well.
that. That would be wonderful. I would love that. I'm going to take them up on that.
Okay. So, Leah, I think I read where the current grant period has expired.
Mhm.
So, and you said you'll open it back up when, and how long will it take that approval? I know you said it'll be sometime in November, but walk us
Yes,
through that timeline from now until November. What should we be doing?
sure. So May 15th was the most recent deadline,
Mm-hmm.
and those applications went to review on June the 2nd for a meeting of review.
Mm-hmm.
And so we expect for the final approval on that to be at the end of this month. It could go into next week because of other things that are going on in the community, that have been prioritized by the police department. And so you're looking at, from the time that they are reviewed by the grant review committee until the funds are in the neighborhood's hands, you're looking at the earliest 4 weeks and the most 7 weeks. And
Okay.
I say that because that's what's happened in this instance. And we
Mm-hmm.
weren't expecting COVID-19 to happen, but you're looking at anywhere from 4 to 7 weeks from the time that the applications have been reviewed.
Okay.
So,
So
and
I
so for, I'm sorry.
what I wanted to say, well, I'll be looking forward to watching you on Facebook Live, giving out those checks virtually, and then they come in the mailbox.
Yeah, they're coming in the mailbox. We've been working with Lieutenant Rudolph on how that process is going to be. I believe that we have agreed upon having some sort of virtual video thank you
Mhm.
from Director Rollins and the mayor for this time. And that is still, they're still working on figuring out how they want to navigate that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, are there any corporate partners that assist with funding your program?
Um, Not that I can think of, but the Greater Memphis Chamber has been a very valuable resource to
Mhm.
neighborhoods that have really, really large projects and have additional fees and have experienced some sort of hardship. And so they reached out to us last year and wanted to know were there any neighborhoods that needed any help. And so we have, a few um, different organizations that reach out to us from time to time that are willing to offer an extra help. And so we just, provide that information to the neighborhoods as it comes.
So, if we have some corporate leaders viewing today, what would
Mhm.
you ask of them?
I would ask of them to get involved in the neighborhoods. It's more important now than any time. More people are staying at home, but according to what neighbors are telling me, the crime is going up and they are experiencing neighborhood crime. And so if the sponsors are listening to this and maybe they can provide food to some of the precincts or hand sanitizer or those sorts of things right now to keep those precincts that are in the communities going. Maybe they would consider making a donation to provide food to those precincts. Also, the neighborhood watch groups that meet monthly at the precincts, maybe they can offer some sort of space to the neighborhood watch groups that are wanting to continue to be active through the pandemic. Um, you know, of course, we get some neighborhood groups that are interested in a very specific need, like they may need 5 computers. Um, just like right now, they can't go through the grant process. They need it right now. If you're a sponsor and you're listening to this and you have some computers or things that may be utilized by association or a neighborhood watch group or a faith-based organization that you feel like could be in better use, please contact our office and we'll connect you with those organizations to see if those items can possibly be donated.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, we're about to close out our show. If you all hear someone in my kitchen, I think my husband is making coffee. So, know that I am live. So, and at home. So I don't want anybody to think that any rumbling that's going on in the background is any different from any other home. So, the last question that I'd like to ask, and then I want you to kind of wrap up with your thoughts of anything else you'd like to share with our viewers. So, as I have talked to other neighborhood associations, do they have to have a 501c3 or can they just be legal neighborhood watch organizations?
Right. They do not have to have a 501c3. We don't want to put that burden on neighborhood watch groups that are trying to form from the ground up. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
And what
Mhm.
about bank accounts?
To receive funds from us, you would need to have a bank account. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So,
Yes.
any parting thoughts for our current viewers?
Well, if you have any questions, you can call 636-6628. That is our general line. And all of our lines are going straight to us. You can call us right now, someone will answer. Um, if you have any questions, we encourage you to contact our office. And we encourage you to continue, like you guys have been doing, looking out for each other, especially during these daytime hours. Some people are going out to work and some people are at home, but the criminals, they can't tell right now whether you're at home or whether you're at work. So they're definitely active. So still keep watching out for each other. If you see something in your neighborhood that seems suspicious that you're not used to seeing, like that doesn't look like the regular Amazon or UPS guy, there's no harm in calling 545 cops and letting them know that you see some suspicious activity in your precinct area. So just continue to look out for each other and stay safe. Yes.
And I'd like to add about staying safe. Let's remember to mask up,
Yes.
wash our hands, and remember to 6 feet social distancing. Thank you,
Yes,
Roma, for
Councilwoman.
being for being
Thank
on A
you.
View from the Chair, where we try to make sure our citizens are in the know on everything Memphis, Tennessee. Please don't be a stranger to A View from the Chair. Once we have this pandemic hopefully under control or behind us, we would love to have an opportunity for you to come back and share again. Thank you. We appreciate you. And I want to thank our listening and viewing audience for their participation today on A View from the Chair. I'm your host, Patrice Jordan Robinson. We'll see you next time.